Good morning, everyone. This is Kalpana. Today, we are going to discuss about Python programming. Python is a programming language which is used to write programs. So you can use C, C++, Java, different languages to write a program. Among that, Python is also one of the programming language to develop different applications. Okay, as we discussed in the previous classes, you have first of all, when you are going to know about any other programming language, you have to know about a language first. Language is a communication tool. So there are different languages in a computer. C, C++, Java, Python. There are different programming languages to develop different applications. According to the application you required, a language can be used. Okay, Python is a simple general purpose high level programming language and object oriented programming language. It's a simple English can be used for writing a code and general purpose. In any computer you can write any desktop or anywhere you are going to develop your code, and it is a high level programming language. What is a high level programming language? High level programming language is nothing but which is understood by the human being. There are three types of languages in a computer. One is a high level language, second one is the assembly language, and third one is the machine language. Actually, first machine language was introduced. Machine language is nothing but is in the form of zeros and ones, which can be understood by the computer only. So it is difficult to understand zeros and ones. So assembly language was introduced later after the machine language. Assembly language is a language which is used, which has used mnemonics. Mnemonics are nothing but alphabets, numbers like that they have used. Okay. Uh, Compared to the machine language, assembly language is somewhat better to write a coding. Even though assembly language was developed, it is difficult for the human being to develop a code. So later that high level language was introduced. Okay, high level language is a language which is understood by the human being, which you are going to use a simple English letters and numbers, numerics and special characters. All these can be used to develop a code. That means it is easily understood by the human being. So it is easy for us to develop a program by using the high level language. It is difficult for us to develop a code by using the machine language. And so here Python is a high level language. That means you are going to use a simple English alphabets, numeric special symbols to develop a code. Okay, that means it is easily understood by the human being. So a human being can develop a code in a very easy manner. Then Python is an object oriented programming language. What is meant by object oriented? Object oriented is nothing but any programming language can be called as an object oriented programming language when it is going to follow few concepts. One is the class, object, inheritance, encapsulation, abstraction. All these concepts has to be satisfied that with that programming language. Then that programming language is called as a object-oriented programming language. Python is called as an object-oriented programming language because here it is going to satisfy the concepts inheritance, abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, all this. So Python is called as object-oriented programming language. So we can say Python is a simple programming language, general purpose language, and high level language, and it is called as object oriented programming language. Okay, Python is also an interpreted scripting language. What is interpreted scripting language? Let us discuss here what is a compiler. Compiler is nothing but which is used to convert source code to the object code. As we discussed here about the high level language, I told you that high level language is a language which is understood by the human being. But computer cannot understand the high level language. Computer can understand only machine language. Here, in the here compiler, what it is going to do, it is going to convert this high level language to the machine code. So what the compiler is going to do, compiler is going to convert high level language to the machine language. Here the compiler is going to take whole program at a time, and it is going to convert the source code into the object code. That means human understandable code to the machine code. That means whatever is a simple English language, that is going to be converted in the forms of zeros and ones. Here, compiler cannot be used in a Python. As I told you, Python is a high level language that cannot be understood by the computer. So it requires a compiler. But here, it is not using any compiler. It is going to use interpreter. Interpreter is nothing but it is not going to take a whole program and converting. It's just going to take a program line by line, and it is going to make that program to ready for the execution. So why, but when you are using interpreter for any programming language, it will become very late to execute that program. Okay, if a program, if we are using a compiler in a programming language, execution of that program will become very fast because the whole program is going to be converted to the object code. But when the programming language used interpreter, then it will take line by line code and it makes ready for the execution. So it will take time. Okay, and you are going to call it is a scripting language. What is a scripting language? Scripting language is nothing but there. Let us discuss an example here. There is a JavaScript language, VB script language, Ruby. These are all called a scripting language. It's nothing but these, whatever the code you have written in a scripting language, that can be embedded in any other programming language. Example are JavaScript and VB-script. You are going to embed this JavaScript code into HTML. You are going to embed it somewhere else. So you are going to call these as a scripting language. PHP is a scripting language. Okay. This I told you, like JavaScript is a scripting language. Ruby is a scripting language. And here Python is also a scripting language. Okay. Then who is the founder of Python? Guido van Rossum is known as the founder of a Python programming language. Now let us discuss the points what we have discussed in the slide. Python is a simple programming language, general purpose language, high level language, and object oriented programming language. And Python is called as an interpreted scripting language. Interpreted scripting language. And who was the founder of a Python is nothing but Guido van Rossum is known as the founder of the Python. Next, what is Python? Python is a general purpose. That means you are going to use in a common manner. Dynamic. Dynamic means whenever the program, whenever variable has declared, if it is going to be execute at the time of runtime, then it is called as a, if any way, as I told you now, if any variable has declared as a dynamic, means that memory can be assigned at the time of runtime. Okay, here what is a dynamic in Python? In a Python, when you go for the other languages like C and C++, Java, you are going to declare a variable type. That means integer, float, pointer, that float, or any, not pointer, integer, float, character, like that. You are going to declare it. By this, you can identify that is an integer type of variable or a string type of variable or any other type of variable. But here in a Python, you are not going to declare a data type here. Okay, so you are going to take just a variable and a value. At the time of runtime, it is going to decide what type of data type it is. Till runtime, even we don't know. That means we are writing a code here, but computer don't know what the value we have declared, whether it is an integer, float, or string. At the time of runtime only, it is going to decide what type of a value you have assigned for that variable. Okay, that's why you are going to call Python as a dynamic programming language. And as we discussed, Python is a high-level programming language and interpreted programming language. It supports object-oriented programming concept. Okay, it is simple and easy to learn and provide lots of high-level data structure. There are different data structures. We're having stack, queue, trace, all the concepts, all the data structures. That means maintaining the data by using different structures here. There are different things available. That is a stack, queue. There are different data structures available for us. Okay, it is simple and easy to learn and provides lot of high-level data structures. Like Python is easy to learn, a powerful and versatile scripting language which makes attractive for application, which makes attractive for application development. That means it's a scripting language. It is easy for us to write a scripting language. So which makes it attractive for application development. That means it is easy for you to develop any application. Python syntax and dynamic typing, which its interpreted nature, makes it an ideal language for scripting and rapid application development. Okay, as we discussed, dynamic typing is nothing but, here dynamic typing is nothing but the variable type you are not going to declare in the beginning. What the value you have assigned, based on the value, it is going to decide what type of variable is that at the time of runtime. Suppose I want to declare a variable x is equal to 2. I want to make it as an integer. What I am going to do, x is equal to 2. We know that 2 is an integer. Okay, but computer cannot know what that x is equal to, x is not, x is an integer. Okay, how when it knows actually for other programming language, it knows at the time of compile time. But here in a Python, it knows that x is an integer type of variable at the time of runtime. That is called as a dynamic typing. Okay, with its interpreted nature. Interpreted nature, as I told you, interpreter means converting line by line code into the machine understandable code by using the program. Okay, make it an ideal language for scripting and rapid application development. To develop any type of application, it is easy for us. Python support multiple programming pattern, including object-oriented. As we discussed, object-oriented is nothing but if any programming language supports inheritance, abstraction, polymorphism, all these concepts, then that is called as an object-oriented programming language. Then imperative language. What is imperative here? Actually, when we are going to know about the imperative, let us know what is declarative and what is imperative. Declarative is nothing but, we can say, what is it? Just you don't know how it can be solved. But imperative, in imperative languages, we know how to solve that. Let me say one example for that. Suppose I told to my friend to fix a problem in my car, but I am not going to take the steps how to fix it. I'm not bothering about how to fix it. Just I'm going to tell to my friend, fix my car. Okay, that is declarative. When you come to the imperative, I am telling my friend to repair my car, to solve the problem in my car step by step. How to repair, how to repair, how to repair the car in a step by step. It's nothing but in a declarative languages, you are going to just what to do. But in imperative, how to do. A step-by-step procedure can be used in imperative. Java is an imperative language. In that language, you are going to use a step-by-step code to solve any solution. Step by step, you're going to say. Okay, and functional are procedural programming styles. What is a functional? If any programming language use the concepts, procedures, or function, then it is called as a functional language or procedural language. Pascal is a procedural oriented language. In Pascal, procedures will be used. A functional programming language example is C. In a C, you are going to use the concept function. So that's why C is called as a functional programming language. So Python is going to support multiple programming patterns like imperative, object-oriented, functional, and procedural programming styles. Python is not intended to work in particular area such as web programming. Not only in a web application, that is why it is known as multi-purpose programming language, because it can be used with web, enterprise, 3D CAD, etc. Anywhere you can use. Not only web applications, you can use an enterprise like marketing, And 3D CAD. 3D CAD is nothing but three-dimensional computer aided designs. This is an engineering technique. That means you are going to design any automobiles or anything by using the 3D techniques. In that applications also you are going to use the Python. That means Python is called as a multi-purpose programming language. That means it is not specifically used for specific application. So, let us see one example. HTML. HTML is used to develop a web pages. Okay, and C you can develop any type of application. So few of the programming languages are intended to develop only specific applications like HTML. It is used to develop a websites, but here Python can be used in a web, enterprise, 3D, anywhere you can use this Python. Okay, we don't need to use data types to declare a variable because it is dynamically typed. So we can write a is equal to 10 to assign an integer value in an integer variable. As I told you, it's a dynamically typed. That means you are not going to declare any type of data type at the declaration. Here, just you are going to give the value for a variable. Okay, that's all. Python makes the development and debugging fast because there is no compilation step here. There is no compilation. Compilation is nothing but converting source code into the object code. Here, the compilation phase is not required. Just it is going to translate the code into the code, and it makes ready for execution. So there is no compilation part here. Okay, and in edit test to debug cycle is very fast because it is going to take a line by line in interpreter. Becomes very fast. That's why debugging can be very fast in a Python programming language. And here there is no compilation step. Compilation is nothing but converting source code to the object code. It's nothing but high level language to the machine language. But what the interpreter is going to do, interpreter is going to convert line by line into, it is just a program. It is going to convert line by line for ready for execution. It is going to debug it, and just it is going to make a program ready for the execution. Okay, then why learn Python? What is the purpose? Before going to know about any programming language, we have to know why we are learning that. Okay, Python provides many useful features to the programmer. The features make it most popular and widely used language. Okay, just discuss what those features. Okay, easy to use and learn. Very easy to use and learn. So any person can who know English, it is easy for them to learn a Python. Expressive language, it is easy to express any code here. Interpreter language, as we discussed, it doesn't require any compiler. It is an interpreter language. That means it is going to convert, it is going to debug line by line and makes the code ready for the execution. Then Python is object-oriented programming language. That means it supports object-oriented concepts like encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. There are different concepts. We will discuss it later. Next, open source programming language. What is open source? If any programming language, if any software is available free of cost in a website, then that is called as an open source language. In a free of cost, we can download a Python programming language. That's why you are going to call a Python as an open source programming language. Then extensible, it is easy to extend the code and learn standard library. There are different standard libraries in Python. So if many standard libraries are there, it is easy for you to extend the code. It is easy for you to implement those libraries in your program. Okay. GUI programming support. What is GUI? Graphical user interface. If this Python programming is going to support GUI interface. Many text-based interface programming languages are there, like DOS, Unix. In the DOS, you can't use the mouse. It is a text-based. That means you can use only the keyboard, and you are going to use the command line prompt to type the commands. Okay. But in a Windows, you can use the GUI. That means you can use the mouse. Okay, you can use the mouse and you can use the keyboard at the same. There's a Windows operating system, but in a DOS and Unix, you can use only commands. That means a text-based. But in a Windows, this is a graphical user interface. Just like that, Python is a graphical user interface programming supporting language. Okay, integrated. It is an integrated programming language, integrated in other programming languages. Okay, you can embed this Python language in other any programming language in an easy manner. And dynamic memory allocation. Dynamic memory allocation is nothing but uh, at the time of runtime, the value it is going to it is going to allocate the memory at the time of runtime. Suppose I have declared a variable like an array. I have declared an array A of 10. That means it is going to allocate 10 bytes for as a memory. But if suppose I have used only 5 bytes, so 5 bytes will be wasted. Okay, but in a dynamic memory allocation, memory cannot be wasted. That means memory can be allocated at the time of runtime and the memory can be reused. The wasted memory can be reused. So that is the concept of the dynamic memory allocation. Okay, wide range of libraries and frameworks. There are different libraries. We will discuss those libraries and frameworks later. Okay, next, where is Python used? Especially where the Python can be used. So Python is a general purpose popular programming language and it is used in almost every technical field. The various areas where the Python are used are data science. What is a data science? Data science is nothing but data science is a combination of mathematics, computers, machine learning, everything. That means you are going to develop an application, you're going to solve an application, solve any problem by using a mathematics, computer science, IT, machine learning, and different techniques you are going to use here. Okay, data mining. What is a data mining? I will show you one image for a data science later. Okay, data science is merged with the IT, computer science, and mathematics. So if you want to solve any problem, you are going to use all these machine learning techniques and mathematical techniques, computer science techniques, and IT techniques. Okay, that is the concept of the data science. Okay, then data mining. It's not a data mining. What is a data mining? Mining of data. Mining of data. This can be used in a bank's enterprise everywhere, like anywhere this data mining concept is used. What is a data mining? Mining of data. Mining of data. Mining of past data to derive the conclusions. By mining, suppose when you take the marketing, like not a marketing, we can say it as a like this um, daily shares and everything, share market everywhere. They are going to take the past history, they are going to collect the past data, and they are going to derive that. Mutual funds, all this, they are going to derive according to the past history. Even in the banks, past based on the past history, they are going to they are going to implement that thing. Even in insurance policies, so based on the past history, they are going to derive the conclusions. So in the data mining concept, data can be mined and different patterns can be used. Okay, so data is the compulsory required for us. So based on this data mining, we can solve many other issues, like based on the past data history, we can resolve the issues what the present. Okay, we will discuss what the data mining in the next session. Okay, then desktop applications. What desktop application is nothing but a computer which is placed on the desktop, which is used as individual, that is called as a desktop computer. You can use a Python in a desktop applications also. Console based application. What is a console based application? As I told you, DOS and Unix are the text based programming language. Text based user interfaces language. Okay, graphical user interface is nothing but you can use the mouse and text to interact with the computer. When you go for the text based interface, you are going to use only keyboard, a text you are entering only, you are going to enter that on the command line. Okay, that is called as a text based. In a console based application, you are going to use only text to interact with that. You are going to use the console. Okay, and like Unix and DOS. And also you can use the text based interface that embedded with the graphical user interface like Windows. Even in a Windows, you can develop a console application. In a Windows, text based is there, and also graphical user interface is there. Okay, that is called as the console based application. That means by using the text base, you are going to use in NX and DOS. When you come to the Windows, it is a text based interface embedded with the graphical user interface. Okay. Then mobile applications. To develop any mobile applications, you are going to use a Python. Then software developed, different software can be developed, different apps can be developed by using the Python. Artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? Making the system, making the computer to think like a human being. Okay, that is making the computer intelligence artificial. You are making the computer intelligent by artificially. Human being having original intelligence, but computer cannot have any intelligence. Either in this artificial intelligence, you are going to make the computer to think like a human being. Okay, by giving different patterns, by giving different trainings. According to that, the computer is going to be trained. Okay, like Alexa, all these are applications of artificial intelligence that was trained. Okay, when you have say something, it is going to respond based on that only. Based on that, suppose one hospital on one, not a hospital, in one, like it is going to work like a doctor. Okay, the computer was trained. Suppose I have given the symptoms like a cold, fever, and body pains. It is going to say it's a fever. How it is going to say? You are going to give, the computer was trained. You have given much data for the computer. By collecting that data, it is going to give the result for a random collection. It is going to collect random from the data what you have given, and it is going to say the disease what you are suffering. Okay, that means you are making the computer to think like a human being. How you are making the computer to think like a human being? By giving a many data set for the computer. Okay, and you are going to train the computer. Okay, then web applications. Different web applications will be developed. Enterprise applications are especially for marketing. You're going to use, and 3D CAD applications, computer aided design, and machine learning. Machine learning is nothing but it is a part of the artificial intelligence. So that nothing but making the computer to think like a human being. Okay, then computer vision or image processing applications. For image processing also, you are going to use this Python. And speech recognition, voice recognition. You can call it as even as a voice recognition. So you are going to train the computer voice. Suppose I have trained my computer with my voice only. It can accept only my voice. It won't accept other voice because my computer was trained with my voice only. That is called as speech recognition. Speech recognition is a major role now, which we are going to use in all the places. Okay, then come to the next point. Python basic syntax. What the Python syntax? There is no use of curly braces or semicolon in Python programming language. Other programming languages are used semicolon and have curly braces. Okay, it is just like an English language. Okay, but Python uses indentation to define a block of code. It is going to use the indentation. What is indentation? Indentation is nothing but adding spaces before the statement when it is needed. Whenever it needed, you are going to give the spaces. Let us see here. FUNC is a function here, colon, statement 1, statement 2. It is not having any semicolon here, but there is no curly braces also. In our example, the statement that are same level to right belong to the function. So this function is written in the beginning. So statements are, there is a small indentation here. Generally, we can use 4 white spaces to define indentation. You are going to use 4 spaces. Python first program. What the program? Let us discuss a program here. I want to print a hello world. Suppose I want to write a hello world programming Java. So there is a many steps of code here. Public class, hello world, you are going to define a class. In this class, you are going to define a function. Public static void main is a function here. Here you are going to even give a string arguments. And then system.out.println hello world. You are going to print a hello world by using the system.out.println. Okay, and you are going to use even curly braces here, beginning 2 and closing 2 curly braces. So suppose if you want to print a hello world statement, means you have to write 1, 2, 3, 4 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 statements you are using in a Java. But in a Python, it is a simple thing. You are going to use print double quotation hello world, print You're going to write hello world in a double quotation. That's it. Both programs will print the same result, but it takes one statement in Python, but in Java, it is going to take many steps. Then features of Python. What are the features of Python? There are different features for the Python. Every programming language having its own features. Python provide many features which make it popular and valuable for other programming language. It supports object-oriented programming, procedural-oriented programming, and provide dynamic memory allocation. As I told you in the beginning, it is going to support object-oriented programming, procedural-oriented programming, and then it provides the dynamic memory allocation. Okay, easy to learn and use. As I told you, it is those who know English, then for them it is easy for them to write a programming language. Its syntax is straightforward and much the same as the English language. Okay, there is no use of semicolon or curly bracket. The indentation defines the code block. It is the recommended programming language for beginners. Okay, expressive language. What is expressive language? Python can perform complex tasks using a few lines of code. Using a few lines of code. A simple example, the Hello World program, you simply type print Hello World. Simply, as I told you, in a Java, you are going to write a 5-line code to print Hello World. But in a Python, it is a single line program. Okay, interpreted language. It doesn't require any compiler. It is just interpreted language. Python is an interpreted language. It means the Python program is executed one line at a time. The advantage of being interpreted language is makes debugging easily and portable. Okay. Then cross-platform language. What is a cross-platform? Python can run equally on different platforms. C and C++, if we have developed an application in Windows, then it can run in Windows only, Windows platform only. But here, you can use any platform like Windows, Linux, Unix, and Macintosh, etc. So we can say the Python is a portable language. That means easy to carry to anywhere. It enables programmers to develop the software of several competing platforms by writing a program only once. You can write a program in a Windows and you can execute. You can execute the program in Unix. So that means a platform platform independent, any platform it can run. Okay, and suppose you have developed in a Macintosh, you can run the same code in any other operating system. That's why this is called as a cross-platform language. And free and open source. This is a free of cost. C or C++, C or C++, you have to purchase it compulsory. But this Python is a open source programming language. From any website like www.python.org, you can download a Python at a free of cost. No need to invest any amount for downloading a Python software. Okay, then object-oriented language. As we discussed, Python is an object-oriented programming language. It supports the concepts like encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, all these concepts. Then extensible. What is extensible? It implies that other languages such as C and C++ can be used to compile the code, and thus it can be used further in our Python code. That means you can reuse the code. Okay, it converts the program into bytecode, and any platform can use that bytecode. In any platform, you can use that bytecode. Okay, extensible. Okay, but C and C++, it is not just you are going to extend the code. There is a reusable facility. But here in the Python, you can generate a bytecode. That bytecode can be used anywhere. Okay, it implies that other languages such as C and C++ can be used to compile the code, and thus it can be used further in your Python code. That code can be used in a Python code. It converts the program into bytecode. First of all, it is going to convert the program into the bytecode. That bytecode can be emerged anywhere. Okay, large standard library. It is having a large standard library. It's nothing in a C and C++. There is a different libraries are available. You are going to include those libraries or header files in the beginning of a program. Even in a Python, there is a standard library here. Okay. It provides a vast range of libraries for the various fields such as machine learning, web developer, and also for the scripting. There are various machine learning libraries. There are different libraries for the machine learning such as TensorFlow, Pandas, NumPy, Keras, and Pyrorec, okay, etc. These are the machine learning libraries. And Django, Flask, Pyramids are the popular framework for Python web development. These are the different frameworks, okay. GUI programming support. GUI programming support is nothing but graphical user interface. Graphical user interface is used for the developing desktop application, okay. Graphical user interface used for developing desktop application. Just for a normal single computer, you can develop an application. PyQt5, Tkinter, Kiwi are the libraries which are used for developing the web application. For developing web applications, you are going to use these libraries, okay. Integrated, we can discuss all these libraries in the next sessions, okay. Just I am going to say what the libraries you are going to use. Integrated, it can be easily integrated with languages like C, C++, Java, etc. Python runs code line by line like C and C++, Java. It makes easy to debug the code. But here C and C++ is a compiled based programming language, but in a Python it is going to generate, it is going to execute line by line, and it is easy to debug. Embeddable, this code of the other programming, the code of the other programming language can use in the Python source code. We can use Python source code in any other programming language as well. It can embed any other program into our code. That means you can use the Python code in other programming languages. At the same time, other programming languages code can be implemented in a Python. So it can be embed other language into our code, okay. Dynamic memory allocation. Dynamic memory allocation, I told you in the beginning itself. Again, I am telling, in Python, we don't need to specify the data type of the variable when we assign some value to it, okay. It automatically allocates the memory to the variable at runtime, okay. At runtime, many of the programming languages, first of all, you are declaring that variable. You're going to say, that means declaration is nothing but you are going to allocate the memory for that variable. Suppose if I have declared any variable as an integer, means in the beginning itself, you are going to allocate 2 bytes, okay. But in a Python, you are not going to declare any variable in the beginning. That means you are not going to allocate any memory for that, okay. At the runtime, it is going to know what the variable you have taken. Suppose we are assigned integer value 15 to x, then we don't need to write int x is equal to 15. Just write x is equal to 15. Just you are going to give the value automatically at the runtime. It is going to allocate the memory for that variable. That is called as a dynamic memory allocation. By this dynamic memory allocation concept, memory will not be wasted. These are the different features of Python, okay. Easy to learn and use, because you are going to use a simple English, so it is easy to learn and use. Expressive language, okay. So many other programming languages use a huge of code to write, but in a Python, you are going to write a simple code like lines, 1 line, 2 line. I told you one Java program and even a Python program. Interpreted language, it is not a compiled based programming language. It doesn't require any compiler. It is going to take a line by line, and it is making the program to execute. Cross-platform. Cross-platform means you can develop in Python application anywhere, and you can execute, or you can use that code in any other operating system. Then free and open source. Free and open source is nothing but with a free of cost, you can download a Python software. Then object-oriented language, suppose object-oriented language. Extensible, okay. Extensible is nothing but in a C and C++, if you have written a code in a C and C++, you can use that bytecode in a Python, okay. Large standard library, it is having a large standards library. If there is, if any programming language having a large standard library, means it is easy to extend that program, and it is easy for us to so let me say one example. Like suppose in a C language, you are going to use the string functions directly if you are including the libraries string.h. So the library is already there. Simply you are going to use that library by including in the beginning of the program. Here also, that means if there is a standard library, means it is easy for you to develop a program. GUI programming support, a Python supports graphical user interface, integrated, embeddable. You can embed this Python code in any other programming language. If any other programming language can be embedded in this programming language, and it is going to support the dynamic memory allocation. So the next concepts we will discuss in the next class. Thank you everyone.